Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see, I'm outside on the rooftop. I'm on the second level. I just really wanted to be outside, get some air. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And it's nice because the planes keep going over my head, so I am just one with aviation right now. So in today's video, we are actually going to talk about flight attendant responsibilities. I know I've talked to you guys about this briefly, but someone asked a great question the other day, and I guess you guys watch different YouTubers, so someone asked about what is an A position, a B position, a C position, and all of that good stuff, and they were just probably really confused. So I'm just going to share my piece on that and just kind of give you guys an idea of the flight attendant responsibilities. But before we jump into that, if you are new to this channel, thank you for joining me in today's video, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I think it's like down there somewhere. It's a red button. Hit the subscribe button, turn the little bell on so that when I post, you know that I post and you can stay up to date with me. You guys can hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Snap with your questions. I love when y'all reach out to me. It just keeps me inspired and it keeps me fresh. The same way that you guys say I inspire you, you guys do the same for me. So this is a mutually beneficial relationship. So without me running my mouth any further, let's talk about flight attendant responsibilities. So in training, when I learned about all of the flight attendant duties, I could not wrap my head around it. It did not make any sense. Even when we had those little mock scenarios where, you know, one of our classmates got up and this person was the flight leader and this one acted as if they were the gate agent and so on and so forth, it just really didn't make sense until I was in the situation and it actually happened. When I actually saw the different things that we learned in training all go together, it all gelled and it made sense. So the one thing that I will say, I tell you this all the time, but keep in mind that whatever airline you go to train for, they are going to set you up for success. They are spending money to train you. So even if you're not getting paid for that training, they're still spending money. You know, you're in dorms or hotels and all of that. So they're still spending money to train you. So they are going to set you up for success. So one of the first responsibilities that I have as a flight attendant is to get on the aircraft and check my equipment. That equipment can range from, let me just name some things that you guys will definitely know about. Your PO2 bottles, your the interphones where the announcements are made. That's part of our pre-flight checks. We have to check our jump seats, which that's where flight attendants sit. We have to check a number of things. We're checking the water in the bathroom to make sure that it actually comes out of the spigot. Oh, I see a plane over there. So cute. We are checking to make sure the toilet's flush. And if someone is the flight leader, like I told you guys, I fly flight leader. So when I sign in, I print out my trip report, and my trip report will tell me if there are any cabin discrepancies. So, for example, I could sign in, print it out, and it'll say lights above 1A and 1B are in op. So what that means is, let's say it's dark on the flight and, you know, like the lights are turned out, it's a night flight, the lights are turned out, and someone's sitting in 1A and 1B, let's say they want to read. Well, they are not able to, because I already have it in my discrepancy report that the lights are inoperable. So I would just apologize, and you know, there are other things put into place to compensate the customer, if you will. So back to what I was saying. So the cabin discrepancies, the list will tell you everything. And if there is a time where you find something on the plane and it's not listed on the cabin discrepancy, we have something in place where we write it up and we give it to the captain so that when we land, we are able to have the mechanics come on and address those things. There are, you know, we have certain things that a flight cannot go out without, like oxygen is a must. So that's why it's very important to check your equipment, and you learn what to look for in training. So you're checking your equipment to make sure that everything is working, because if you have a medical emergency in the air, you need to make sure that you have your first aid kit or whatever it is. But there are quite a bit of things that we're checking for and we're looking for, and it's just really important to make sure that your pre-flight checks are on the money, because if they're not, it ain't gonna be funny. So another thing that flight attendants are responsible for is briefing with the gate agent, and the briefing will include, sorry if it's loud, I'm like all the way up here and I hear, it's just crazy, it's New York City, so anything from sirens to motorcycles is going down. But like I was saying, you're briefing with the gate agent, so that briefing will pretty much include, they'll let us know if we have any special things on board. I'm not going to say those names because again, this is security information and all that good stuff, but the gate agent briefing is very important. They let us know about something like, for example, we have 5 wheelchairs. Like, I can share that with you guys. So they'll say we have 5 wheelchairs. So then I say, as a flight leader, you know, depends, if it's domestic, it's boarding 35 minutes prior, right? So sometimes if my crew is ready like at 37 minutes prior, I'm like, you can send the wheelchairs down, because it helps the flight go out quicker, and we just want to make sure that we have on-time departure, and on-time departure is very, very important. And as flight attendants, it's also our responsibility to make sure that that door gets closed on time, because if it doesn't, your manager might call you and you ain't trying to get that phone call. That's all I'm gonna say. But you know, I think a lot of airlines do things differently. Like the A does this specifically, the B blah 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 blah. You know, we are working as a team, so it's not like, if let's say we're on the let's talk aircraft. So let's say we are on the MD-88, right? If you don't know what the MD-88 just look it up. I am sitting in the front, and then there's someone sitting at the 2 left, and there's someone sitting in the tail cone. Those 2 people who are working in the back of the plane, either one of them can brief the exits. You know, that's also another one of our responsibilities. Those exit rows have to be briefed before the door can close. That is part of making sure and ensuring that that door can close, because whoever's flying flight leader needs to relay that information to the agent and say that, you know, the exits have been briefed. And in the briefing of the exits, I'm sure a lot of you guys have flown, it's pretty much asking someone, are you aware that you're sitting in an exit row? And you need a verbal response. Are you willing and able to assist in the event of an emergency? You need another verbal response. And at that point, I would tell them, okay, thank you. At this time, I am going to ask you to review your passenger safety information card. If you have any questions, my name is Tika. Or if you know, happen to feel like you're not comfortable sitting here, please let me know and we are happy to reseat you. So that's another one of the responsibilities, is to brief those exit rows and just get that verbal. You can't get a head shake or a head, like, that's not okay. It has to be a verbal, because again, if there's an emergency and I tell you to step, I need you to handle that window, you have to be able to do that. So that's just really important to brief those exits, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about the demo. So some aircrafts, you see people doing the demo, 2 forward doors, 1 on each side, 4 window exits, y'all know my karate that I always talk about. So on the 88, for example, the flight leader, me, I would dance, and not just like dance, but really what it is those passengers that are sitting at the bulkhead seats, that's like the seats with the wall in front, they have to be able to see the demo as well. So I do it in front of first class, like the exits and all that good stuff, and then the person who's reading in the back, and the person who reads in the back is typically the person that's sitting in the tail cone. Sometimes that person would rather, you know, they'll tell the crew member that they would rather do the demo and the other person will read. So it's not like set in stone. Yeah, there are things in writing, but teamwork makes the dream work. Whatever works for the crew and whatever. As long as we get that demo done and people know where the exits are and all that good stuff, that is what is most important. So again, I have to dance. So those exits are read twice. Everything that I do for the first class passengers, I then have to dance over to the bulkhead so that those passengers right there can see me. And that occurs after, you know, that door has been closed and all that good stuff, before the flight goes in the air. You know, we also have responsibilities to make sure that the seat backs are upright, the tray tables are stowed, the bags are underneath the seat, the bins are closed. There's a lot, and it's one of those things that's like, it just comes to you, you know, you get so, sorry that my hands are like everywhere, it's a little windy out here, y'all, my bad. But you know, you get so used to it that you don't even realize that you've done so much. You don't even realize that you just reseated that family that had a car seat that was in the wrong place, or you just removed that person from the exit row because maybe they weren't comfortable, and you just did all these things to make sure that this flight can go out. There's a lot of responsibility that takes place, but again, you learn all of this in training and you're set up for success. Like, there's no way that you're not set up for success. Granted, the first time you get on the aircraft and do this, it'll be a little weird. You'll probably double, triple check your door. You know, that's another one of our responsibilities, to check the door. There's so many different responsibilities that go into play, but we make sure that they're done, and we have things set in place that we double check to make sure that we haven't made a mistake, because human error does occur. It does happen, and you just want to make sure that when you're doing those duties and you're taking out, you know, those duties, that you are taking the time and focusing, because oftentimes there have been, with different airlines, where people have blown slides because they weren't making sure that the door was disarmed, and it was actually armed, and boom, the slide comes out. You know, it can be a mess. So you just always want to stop, think, and locate what you're doing before you do it. You want to stop. Okay, what am I doing? Let me think about that, and now let me locate what it is that I need to do. So again, there are things set in place, and you need to make sure that you just take your time, because it can be ugly, and you don't want that. So the responsibility of a flight attendant, again, you know, some people think that it's all about Cokes and peanuts. Y'all, it ain't. Like, it is not about that at all. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make this video so long, but the reality is safety is our #1 priority. It really is. So if someone has a bag, and this passenger has a bag, and they're sitting at a bulkhead, which means they don't have a seat in front of them, and I need to stow this bag in the overhead bin, and they're really upset with that, just, if you ever have that situation, just be really nice in explaining to them that this bag does not need to block their, you know, their exit point, really, because let's say they have a big bag and they leave it sitting in front of them, and then there's, you know, we have to evacuate, and I'm telling you, come this way, leave everything, jump and slide. If you're trying to get out of your seat and this big bag is in front of you, you may trip. It's going to hold you up. So all of your space around you, that's why, you know, passengers have to put their bags under the seat, because the space around you needs to be clear in the event of an emergency. It's just, again, safety is our #1 priority. So I know some people aren't too happy with all of the, you know, it feels like there's so many rules and there's so many little things to do, and I'm not a child, but really these are rules put into place by the FAA, and we are following them. We have to carry them out, because if we don't, we could get in trouble. And as flight attendants, like, you can get fined for something. So that's a whole nother thing, but I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But again, safety is our #1 priority. People want to know, what is the responsibility of a flight attendant? Like, man, I am a therapist, I am a nurse, I am a confidant, I am a shoulder to cry on, I am a best friend, I am a wheelchair pusher if they're short. I am a freaking nanny holding a child and comforting that child. We are everything on that aircraft, everything. And you're also, you know, you're like a mom, you're a sister or a brother or a dad. Like, you are everything, because all you got is the people on the aircraft with you. And if something were to happen, y'all gotta work together to ensure that everyone survives. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the responsibility of a flight attendant, when you actually sit back and think about it, let's not talk about benefits, let's not talk about travel perks and all the beauty and the glam. Like, the reality of this, guys, is that, man, I guess I just in talking about it, I hadn't realized how much responsibility I have. Woo, now I'm scared. No, I'm joking. But it's a lot. It really is a lot. And you just have to be prepared to roll with it, because anything can happen. And it can be as simple as delays, or it can be, you know, someone who goes into cardiac arrest. And I'm not trying to scare you guys or anything, but that's, you know, it's just the reality of it, y'all. So the other two things that I want to address are galleys and international trips, and I had something else. Let me look at my little list. Oh, and the announcements. So let's talk about galleys. So as the flight leader, on the MD-88 there is no galley in the back, so everything that's happening food wise on that aircraft is happening from the front of the plane, and my job is to obviously take care of my first class passengers, but you know, we all pitch in with each other, and those carts that go out and serve the main cabin are actually in the front on that aircraft as well. And after I'm done serving my meals, picking them up, and the other 2 flight attendants are in the aisle doing their beverage service, I get gloves, I get garbage bags, or you know, the little the garbage cart, and I go through and I pick up. I'm refreshing drinks for the for passengers who want something else. So the responsibility, like as a flight leader, you do get paid more. Y'all know I'm all about my money, honey. So I feel like if I'm gonna fly, I want all my money, I want to maximize it. But the responsibility is, it's a lot. The flight leader does have more responsibility because anything that happens on that aircraft, it's going to fall back on them. So I always just tell my crew in my briefings, because that's another responsibility, like you brief with your crew before you even step on the aircraft to make sure that everyone has their items. And you know, some of our like it's important to, I don't even have my watch on, can you guys believe it? Wow. But it's important to have a watch that works, and we have a number of other things that are a must-have. You've got to have your passport with you at all times, because yeah, you could be going to Florida and you could get rerouted to, I don't know, Bermuda or something like that, which is a plus, but you need to have your passport. So when I brief with my crew, I always tell them, like, listen, you know, I got your back. If you have any questions or anything, let's just work together. Let's treat everyone how we want to be treated. But you know, the responsibility is quite a bit. And in terms of like galley, we try to set everything up as much as we can on the ground, because the more you do on the ground, the less you have to do in the air, right? So I would say that the aircrafts that have a galley in the back, those are awesome, because it allows just more space, because otherwise you're working in tiny quarters, so you have to get along with people and like them, because the space is like, I can't even show you guys, but it's small. It is so small, so you are like crammed in there with people. You just got to get along with people. But yeah, so the galley on international, it's more of like a designated position, and that person is getting, they're you know, it's designated on international. But for our like domestics, it's not really designated. It's kind of like a, it's like unspoken. Like someone will just be like, they'll start setting up the galley, or they'll say I'm doing galley, or you know, and you'll go to the aisle or whatever. So it's not really like put into place like that. If I'm in the back, I love to do galley, because I'm like domestic diva, so you know, I'm always like cooking and cleaning and stuff like that at home. So on the aircraft, I really love to set up the galley and make it all cute and clean and keep it all neat and stuff like that. But I'm also really tall, so sometimes if I'm flying with someone who's short and I'm in the back, I will go and be the person to close the bins, because I'm 5'8". When I put up my heels, I'm about like what, 6 feet. So I am like this friggin' tall thing in the aisle, but I'm just able to just like literally lift my arm and close the bin. Like it's just that easy. So it just depends. You know, you just gotta be flexible. You just roll with it, and whoever wants to do what, like it's not that complex, and it doesn't have to be made into a complex, into a complex big deal. So the last thing I want to talk about is the announcements. So the flight leader is making the announcements, all of the announcements, but I always tell my crew in briefings, I'm like, listen, if I forget an announcement, or you want to get on the PA and you want to sing, and you want to entertain, or you want to make an announcement, feel free to do so. Like, I am not that flight leader that, I mean, you've got all types of people, I will say, but it's not that serious to me. I mean, it's, as long as we are making the correct announcements that we need to, and we are being professional, that's really all that matters. So I know this was a mouthful, and I really hope that this gave you some sort of insight. So I guess with the different airlines, it would be different. Like the A may do this, the B may do that, the C. I mean, again, with the company that I work for, the flight leader position is definitely a big one. It is. I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't. and a bulk of the responsibility is on me when I am flying flight leader. And you know, first class is like my business, like that is my big responsibility. Phone's ringing, sorry guys, my mom. Hey mom, I'm up here recording on the rooftop, so I'll call you back in a few minutes. Alright, bye. She didn't sound too happy, y'all. But anyway, so a big bulk of the responsibility is on the flight leader, and you know, the first class passengers, like that is my responsibility. But my crew, you know, they tend to help me if it's picking up trays or refilling drinks. Like everyone's just really nice. People just want to get the job done and get to their layover or get home. It's not complex at all. So I know this was a mouthful, and I hope that this, you know, gave you just a better picture. It painted a better, clearer picture of the responsibilities of a flight attendant and what goes on. And man, like, thank you for this question, but I have to say, like, sitting here and just reflecting, wow, I didn't realize I did that much, y'all. So that is why we are paid what we are paid. We're paid really well, and that's why, because we have a lot of responsibilities. So again, if you're not subscribed to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button down there. Share this video on your Facebooks, on different platforms, different social medias. Tell people to check out my channel, and be sure to comment down below with your questions, your suggestions. I appreciate each and every one of you. So in the meantime, in between time, until I see you guys again, be sure to stay beautiful from the inside to the out. Let your light shine. Don't let nothing, no one get in your way, and just stay focused. You know what your goal is, and you are going to accomplish that. So I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon in my next video. Bye.